Hey, Shalom Akim. First foremost, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashim Yoshai, Bashim Rachak B'rash. Double honors under the elders of Oscar Millstone, the elders give Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings under the hopeful elect, the sincere servants of Yahweh, Bashim Yoshai, serving him in truth and sincerity. Yes, on the brother Chayaba from G-Man's Plain Tables Camp, come back with another lesson to his spirit. He has a list lesson to be based off of this article from nationalnews.com, which is entitled, it says, Trump's hubris and U.S. military incompetence are leading us to catastrophe. Hey, and again, I just did a lesson basically, a couple of days ago. And hey, you got many brothers going into this. Again, this thing isn't slowing down. Scriptures say, what the Lord shortened days for the elect's sake. So no, things aren't going to slow down. Things are only going to get quicker. The Lord shortened the days for the elect's sake. Then what? That means that things are going to keep on ramping up. At, of course, exponentially increasing at a rapid rate. Every day, it says, an empire in terminal decline. So, yeah, and that's the point. So we're seeing these other nations basically clearly, we can see these other nations coming up against the U.S., which we know, of course, according to the scriptures, the U.S. or America is Babylon the Great, as the scriptures go into. When you read Revelation, it goes into the mystery of Babylon, goes into the horror. Basically, that's speaking about this country, again, America. So it says, I believe we are witnessing the final gasping breaths of the American empire. And clearly we can see that. Again, that's why, as scriptures say, Revelation chapter 12 and 12, saying north that he had to put a short time. So he's coming down with great wrath. And we know, of course, the cruel Lord and the fierce king is in office right now, which is Trump, Isaiah chapter 19. So, of course, he's without a doubt, he fits those descriptions of the cruel Lord and the fierce king, just like Nero did. So we know that this is the same guy coming back in reincarnation, Nero. So it says, I believe you are witnessing the final gasping breaths of the American empire. And as we know, of course, what the common time span of an empire, of course, is 250 years. When you look at the word American empire, it says a term referring collectively to the political, military, economic, and cultural dominance or influence historically exercised by the United States across the globe, often implying a large, expansive, and hegemonic reach. Yeah. And people try to downplay, this isn't an empire. No, this is an empire. We can read Habakkuk chapter 2, how basically goes into how he enlargeth his desire as hell. And that's exactly what America does, meaning they spread all their philosophy, all their agendas, of course, their reach among, the whole entire world and pollute it or basically pollute these other nations with it. So Habakkuk chapter 2, basically, again, this place, when you read those scriptures, or it's like those verses within Habakkuk chapter 2, obviously it links up onto it being an empire. So it is an empire without a doubt, America. So it says in contemporary usage, it can denote the perceived dominance of the United States in international affairs or the decline thereof. The phrase is often employed to critique or analyze periods of American global influence or suggest a waning power. And again, as scriptures say, or basically paraphrasing, how we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed, meaning that no matter what anybody does, no matter who's in office, no matter who's the president, this place will fall, as prophesied. So it doesn't matter if Trump is in office, Trump gets a third term, or this and that. Again, you can't stop America from its fate that the Lord has already spoken. You can't override the word of the Lord. Everything is going to come to pass that he said, according to scripture. Just get real quick. is Jeremiah 51:7. Or let's start at verse 6. Or let's start at verse 5. It says, "For Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his power. The Lord Yahweh of hosts," or says, "of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel." Yeah, and ultimately, the Lord hasn't forsaken his people. We know ultimately it's a people before a place, and we know what Israel is referring on to the biblical Israel, the real biblical Israelites, obviously, which are the so-called blacks, Native Americans, Latinos, also those who are misguided amongst the other nations. When you go into the curses, the blessings, all of it links up onto our people. It says, verse 6, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon." So the Lord's coming back to deliver his people. He's not coming back to save all nations, only his people. The Lord's not coming back to save the heathen. He's coming back to save his people, which also our people, the real biblical Israelites, are scattered amongst these other nations. So we're going to see our people scattered. So again, the Lord's going to deliver, the Lord's only going to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel. The 2/3, of course, within the land of Babylon, where the 2/3 of Israelites will be destroyed within America. But the 1/3 of Israelites, of course, will be saved. It says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon." So Jeremiah 51:6, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man from his soul." Just like it. "Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul, and be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of the Lord Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense." See? So clearly, we are in that time. We are in the time where Babylon is about to get what it says, "For this is the time of the Lord Yahweh's vengeance." So very, very soon, we can see how this place is going to face its, the ultimate vengeance, which is that nuclear, those thermonuclear missiles that are going to hit this place. And what Yahushua coming back to completely take down Esau and these other nations, and what to set up his people over, of course, all these other nations. The Israelites, talking with the elect. It says verse 7 of Jeremiah chapter 51. It says, "Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed." Exactly. So if so, she may be healed, meaning she won't be healed. So Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain. So she may be healed. Because, hey, this place is going to fall so quickly. As scriptures say, this place is going to fall in just 1 hour once those nuclear missiles are shot. And hey, again, we can see this place is falling quicker than ever. That's why this place isn't our rest. As the scriptures say, Micah chapter 2:10, this isn't our rest. So ultimately it's going to keep on getting worse. And, this isn't going to be a thing that you can just track and, estimate, okay, we have this amount of time. No, ultimately, we are already here. And what the time to get right with the Lord is right now. Because, again, the Lord is bringing these things unexpectedly. So that's why it's important to get right now. It says, Jeremiah chapter 51:9, "We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies." Yeah, so again, this place will not be healed. It says, "Forsake her, let us go everyone to his own country." Yeah, we're seeing these other nations, how they're going back into their own lands. I read an article going back a few years ago, I believe in 2019, where you had an article going through how you have millions of people leaving this place, leaving America. So how much more now, being in 2026, with the economy completely going, to waste and ruin, and things becoming worse. Of course, in this land, and the conflicts here, and the conflicts that America's causing around the world. Hey, clearly, again, that number is increasing of people going back to their own country. We can get an official 2026 number on that. Well, let's go and look it up real quick. So this is from WSJ. It says the U.S. experienced net negative migration in 2025 with an estimated loss of 150,000 people, a trend not seen since the Great Depression. I believe when you add it up, obviously, over the years, it goes into the millions. So, yeah, AI mode. It says, net negative migration. The U.S. recorded an estimated loss of 150,000 people in 2025. It says 2026 trend, this outflow is expected to increase throughout 2026. Says according to projections from the Bookings Institution. So it says U.S. citizen relocation. So not even just, I guess foreigners, but also citizens. It says at least 180,000 U.S. citizens relocated overseas in 2025. A figure likely much higher as countries report full data. So, hey, you even have U.S. citizens leaving. Obviously, you have the deportations and self-deportations. Yeah, it says 600,000 or 675,000 deportations and 2.2 million self-deportations. Hey, and obviously, when you add everything up and you go over the years, it's way past, again, it's in the millions at this point. So again, hey, everything that we're reading in these scriptures are coming to pass clearly, as we can see. So showing you again, the Lord's word cannot be overridden. Everything will come to pass, and we're seeing it. As we're literally reading these scriptures, again, these things are coming to pass. Hey, that's the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Of course, in his word. Hey, so the Lord has spoken it, so of course it's going to come to pass. Yes, says another article, Iranian leader warns of prolonged conflict ahead of Trump address. It says Iran threatens annihilation of 30 billion AI data center, escalating tech infrastructure warfare. So again, and I only got a couple of articles. There's even more articles that you can just get into, go on the news. Again, things are happening every day, as Elder Apostle Har said. You miss a day, you miss a lot, because again, a lot of things are happening, and again, things won't slow down. So I believe it's a point. Lord, you brothers out there edified. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Basham Kakurash Bakathum. Shalom.